up? Tonight I'm actually going to be cleaning off the wheel. I just did a wash this past weekend. We were anticipating some rain today, but it ended up not raining. Usually if it rains and the car gets dirty, I do not wipe off the paint. I leave the paint until I'm able to do a complete full wash. But with the wheels, it's a little bit different for me because the finish on this is it's like a satin finish. It doesn't show scratches or swirls or anything like that. So if the rest of the week is going to be nicer, I usually like to come out in the garage and clean up the wheels. The stock pads on these brakes tend to dust a lot, and I kind of just like to stay on top of it just so the brake dust doesn't get embedded into the finish of the wheel and everything like that, and it kind of just keeps it looking nice. Plus, who doesn't like clean looking wheels? So I guess like midweek after a wash, I'll come in here and I'll kind of refresh the wheels and the tires and everything to kind of give it like a little bit of a refresh, just to kind of get me through the week. And the rest of the week is supposed to be pretty nice, which is great. So all I'm doing is I just got some detail spray and I got my wheel microfiber and I'm just gonna wipe them off. But instead of tonight, I wanted to actually talk about a topic, something that I've been wanting to talk about, I guess, instead of just sitting here and talking about what I'm doing. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't need to explain it. But tonight I wanted to talk about should you mod your WRX or STI. And right off the bat, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to I'm not going to make you wait until the end of the video to find out my thoughts if I think you should mod your WRX or STI. I'm just right off the bat. Yes, I personally think you should mod your WRX or STI. Now, I'm going to go into, not in depth, but explain why I think you should, or why one should modify their WRX or STI. And keep in mind, this is just my experience, my ownership, and what I think of this car and why I modded mine. So first off, from the factory, these cars are pretty good, especially the STI. They have great handling characteristics. The chassis is really stiff and planted and everything. It's actually a pretty good package from the dealer. But WRX is a little bit softer. It's geared a little bit more towards daily driving. I've talked about this in other videos, so they're different. But in terms of a whole package, I think it's a pretty good car, especially under 40,000 bucks. Or if you get a WRX that's base or limited or a premium model, it's definitely way less than 30. But from the factory, there's some points or some parts of the car that I feel could be, I guess, addressed. There's some parts in the car that it's lacking a little bit, and I feel like if you modify these couple things, it kind of brings the car to the next level. And I don't mean like next level fast or next level cool or anything like that, but just it brings it to the point where I think the car should have been from the factory, or from the dealer, or whatever you want to say. My thing with modifying my cars is I like to try to keep the cars looking almost as OEM as possible. I don't like to go so overboard where it's like, it's so over the top and a million different things on the car and it's just really busy. I like to just kind of take what's already there and kind of accentuate the lines and kind of the look of the car and make it what I think is a good looking car. And that's just kind of the motto I've always taken with all my cars. So I don't want to ramble here. I don't want to make a big long video on this, but that's just kind of the approach I take with my cars. And to me, I think these 3 or maybe 4 different things that I feel like every WRX or STI owner should do when they get their car. From the factory, these cars obviously, like I said, it's a great package, but there's a couple things that I feel like that can be addressed to make it look better and just kind of feel better. The 3 things that kind of annoyed me, it's funny because I almost find stock WRX and STIs, it's funny, I really am not crazy about the look of them. Obviously, I like it somewhat because it drew me to the car in the first place. But what draws me to a car basically is just the vision that I have in my head. Like, I know what it's going to look like. I know when I'm going, I want to make it look like. So I have that in my head already. So despite the look of the stock car, you know, I can see past that and just know kind of what I want the car to look like. So with this car, you know, I'm not crazy. And when I see a stock WRX or STI, I don't think they look bad. But I definitely see the points that I'm about to hit that I think would really benefit, or does really benefit this car to make it that much better. I mean, obviously you guys know from the factory, these cars are really, even WRX or STIs, I'm kind of speaking in general, not just on the STI, but on both models, they're both really quiet. Like, I understand, you know, they try to make it geared more towards people that just daily driving the car and just something more comfortable and everything, but they're just so quiet. You know, it's a performance car, so you want something fun, you want it a little bit louder, you want to hear the exhaust note. So upgrading your exhaust is definitely something that I think kind of enhances the overall ownership of the car. The next thing I definitely think should be upgraded, or touched at least, are the wheels. The stock wheels on WRX or STIs, I'm not a big fan of. The only wheels that were okay on this generation was the limited STI wheels from 15 to 17. I think those were probably the nicest wheels that they had. I do like the 19s and the 19-inch wheels on the 18 and 19 and 20s now. Well, I don't really like the 20s. I don't like the finish. But on the 18 and 19s, I like the 19s. I think it looks pretty decent. But either way, the offsets stink. They're really skinny. This car really benefits, you know, the body, it really benefits on a wider tire, a better offset wheel that kind of fills out the fenders more, and just a better looking wheel. And I feel like just putting on a better spec'd and fitted wheel totally changes the look of this car. So doing that right away just really kind of amplifies the look of the car. And the last thing that I think should be addressed, I mean, there could be one more, but this is like the top three, are the just how high the car is. Like, I understand these cars are geared more towards, you know, it's a rally car, it's a rally inspired car, so I get the higher height of this car and just the benefits of that, you know, just in terms of practicality, but they just sit so high. It's almost, I think it's like a full fist pretty much. It's like 4 or 5 inches. It looks so goofy, almost looks top heavy, and it just looks, I don't know, it doesn't look right. So lowering this car, maybe not as low as I did it. I mean, I love the way this car sits, but even just lowering it, you know, a quarter or a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, does a huge thing for this car. It just sits a little bit nicer, a little bit lower. It just fills, especially if you have wheels on it, it fills out a little bit better, and I just think it looks so much better. So even just those 3 things, I mean, everything else is just cosmetic and you know, obviously up to the owner what they want to do, cosmetics and you know, lighting and stuff like that, that doesn't really serve a purpose other than just to do it, just to be different and just to kind of do your own thing with the car, which I get. Obviously, I've done a million of those things. Doing those 3 things alone, I feel has taken this car to where it should be. You know, like I said, the car is great from the factory, but there's those 3 points, I think, if you touch them, it takes this car to another level. It really amplifies the overall experience when you drive. That's why I'm saying you should mod the car. You know, just if you want to do a few things, those are the 3 things. I mean, I know they're kind of big ticket items, but it's such a difference with this car. I mean, immediately as soon as I put wheels on, let alone, you know, all the other stuff, it totally changed my mindset of this car. And now that I have the way it's set up, it's like I can't even describe how much better the car is and how much more I enjoy it. You know, modified than I ever did stock. Granted, you know, I didn't keep it stock that long. I know I drove it long enough to understand, you know, just what a stock STI feels like. But all in all, I really do think you should mod your STI or WRX. I think it really will enhance your overall ownership, and just the look of the car, I think it looks so much nicer and so much more aggressive, and it gives the car such a big presence. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand somebody that wants to keep their car stock, that keeps their warranty, and just doesn't like to mess with things. I get that. I'm not against that at all. I understand, but I think this car really shines when you do at least those three things. And for me, with everything that I've done to this car, I'm enjoying it more now than I did when I first drove it. Because you obviously, when you get a new car, you're so excited, you can't wait. You can't believe that you finally have the car that you wanted for a long time, and you drive it off the lot or wherever, and you're filled with so much excitement and happiness and everything. And then after that, it kind of wears off. You're used to the car, and you end up driving it, and that's it. And then you end up selling it or something. But now that I've brought it to this point, I'm enjoying this car more now than I ever have, simply because this is the vision I had in my head, ever since even before I bought it. And now that it's here, I almost feel like I can enjoy the car now. Not that I didn't before, but it's at that level where, I had that original thought, like, oh, I want my STI to look like this. And I'm happy to say that now that I have it here, and after all the time and everything spent on this car, it's so perfect. I'm so happy with it. And so if you're on the fence of modifying your car, do a few things. Not necessarily wheels or exhaust or lowering the car, because like I said, those are pretty big ticket items. But just doing those a couple things, whether it's just cosmetic stuff too, that feeling when you get a new car part, it's so fun, just doing little things. It doesn't have to be massive or big change or anything, even though that's what I prefer, and what I think this car needs. But like just doing, changing to your halogen bulbs to LEDs, or doing some cosmetic stuff. Oh, geez. Like changing the badges to black, getting rid of the silver stuff, like that little stuff like that. Like that's just, I'm sure everyone can relate just how it feels to do that. And, the joy that it brings you when you do little stuff like that is a big deal. And I never take that for granted. And I'll always enjoy doing that to all my cars. So all in all, yes, I think you should mod your STI or WRX. The fourth reason that I was going to go over, a tune, you can probably throw that in there, but I don't think it's necessary. I think these cars from the factory have more than enough power for the street. They're great street cars. I don't think they're great, looking to make power kind of cars. I think they're great to do kind of just this to it. You don't want to push it, you don't want to go overboard. So kind of making it a cool looking daily driver with maybe a little bit more power, in terms of the tune and everything, and just kind of smooth things out. I think is where these cars really shine. Like, I understand people go for high horsepower on these and everything and go nuts with the builds, but I think that's where this car kind of separates itself from, like, I don't know, an Evo or something like a 2JZ kind of car, something like that. Something where you can do big reliable power. I don't think these EJ motors are really meant for that. Granted, people do, and there's some success and everything like that. I think there's more. I think this car is better suited for the power level that it's kind of at. Maybe a little bit more with the tune, as I said, but even so, just the wheels, exhaust, lowering it a little bit, it does so much for the car, and it made me love this car even more. So if you're on the fence about modifying it, like I said, maybe start with a few little things like the lighting or some cosmetic stuff. Just have fun with it. It enhances your ownership of the car. I remember the first car that I modded years and years ago, just the joy that it brought me, just doing simple things like changing bulbs. It was such a great feeling, and it made my ownership of that car, it made me appreciate it even more. So again, if you're on the fence of doing something, I say go for it. Try it out. If you don't like it, you can just sell this stuff off, and then move on to the next car. But yeah, this was a quick little video. I decided I wanted to just kind of get in the garage and kind of talk my way through this. It's something that I felt like, that I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of people always are on the fence about modifying their cars. But for me, absolutely, modifying a car is probably one of the biggest parts about owning something like this for me. And I think anybody that is unsure, I say give it a try, and let me know in the comments below, what you think about modifying your car, and if you guys are continuing to do stuff to your own, or you like to keep it stock. I appreciate all different all different cars, all different builds, all different goals and visions of everybody's car and everything. So I'm not that kind of guy that I see another brand driving down the road, another car that's modified. I'm the one that gives a thumbs up and saying, hey, cool car or something like that. I'm not a jerk. So, but yeah, that's the video for tonight. I know it's short. I know it's kind of boring, but I figured I would talk about it since it is something that I kind of want to discuss. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them below. If you haven't liked the video, be sure to hit like. If you're a newcomer, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.